you're talking about 1 million to start with, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just reading this. But then it goes.
That fits in perfect with evolutionary theory, though. The second you get one breakthrough,
then
everyone copies it. It copies, and then everyone's got that. It's like, oh, okay, hey, we can do that now.
Well, look at us.
And then one person gets that thing, and it builds, like, everything builds on the standing on the shoulders of giants.
Burn some fossil fuel, and here we are, 200 years later.
The first, Ray Kurzweil said this, and Ray Kurzweil is a great guy to read.
Oh, fucking oath, yeah, definitely.
Right? The first computer was designed on pen and paper. Now computers design computers.
Computers, yeah.
We constantly use previous technology to create the next wave, which makes it easier to do and faster to do and better every step.
Yeah.
So the first breakthrough of a stone tool made all humans better than the ones that weren't using it, and the ones that had it then had the freedom, perhaps, to make it 1,000 years later.
Yeah.
But still, I think that the reason that we're talking about it as to being such a big step is because it's such a huge difference between animals and us, and what makes us different. That change that happened in the period he's talking about, I feel is that's what makes us different from animals, because it's what makes us have a conscience, a guilty conscience.
Well, you're not saying that as if we're different to animals, like actually.
I don't think we are, but I don't think we can be, but I feel like that's the main difference. And I wonder how that can take place in an evolutionary way.
Of the whole start.
Yeah, it's actually not too challenging.
But how? Because it would have to become beneficial for our survival to start thinking in terms of, am I being, like, to have a conscience?
It can be a side effect. So the going theory is simply just sort of our brain got larger for a couple of reasons. The exact causality, we don't really know, but you've got a few factors at play. One, we started cooking meat, which allowed us to get heaps of protein and energy for brain and digesting, because by cooking meat, it allowed us to eat it and take the nutrients out of it rather than needing to digest it, because digesting food takes a lot of energy. And so most primates have these really long, ridiculous stomachs that break down all the food to get the nutrition out of it, and that uses a lot of energy. So by doing that, our stomachs shortened, and intestines, and we got more nutrition much more easily, which allowed us to sustain things like a big brain. Secondly, we live in incredibly complex social societies. The human socialness is well above any other. And it's not ridiculously so. Like, chimpanzees and bonobos, our two closest relatives, have quite complex societies, but nothing compared to what we've got. Because of the way...
Why have we developed that? That's what my question is.
So, because basically, well, think about it. If we've got this need to hunt and to work as a team and to communicate hunting actions on the fly while tracking a beast on the plane, and you think we've lost a lot of we haven't got claws, we haven't got giant strength. Our one strength really is our ability to communicate and work as a team. So whichever humans happen to have better skills at that social communicativeness, they're better able to hunt together, they're better able to get food, which then is able to support larger brains, which are better at social interaction.
Yeah, and also taking care of each other and understanding
empathy,
reward, and
remembering
the trading
cheats.
Of favors.
Yeah, remembering of cheats. That's the big catalyst for
and I think that's probably the whole guilty conscience thing and good and evil probably come through when you've got remembering, because humans have to take care of each other so much to survive. Like you just said, you have to work as a team, so that becomes a hugely important thing. And if you're not pulling your weight within the team, then you're going to be seen in a negative light, and that brings on good and bad actions.
And if humans couldn't remember who cheated them and who gave them, then they'd be taken advantage of all the time.
So I guess that solves that one.
That's all. Oh well, that's good. I missed all that, so I can't keep rolling on that conversation.
That's alright. Did you go and pee, did you?
Yeah, I had to pee. Yeah.
You should have carried it in with you.
Fuck you guys, I'm out of here. Yeah.
I'm gonna get you.
So, alright, yeah, cool. So, is maybe if we get back onto some realistic shit rather than how it all started.
Realistic?
Yeah, well, fucking it's still
real?
a myth. What's real? Yeah, exactly. Maybe
I actually read, after reading Sex at Dawn.
Yeah.
What's that about? I don't know what's going on.
It's about it was an argument put forth to challenge the standard scientific understanding of human sexuality. as a
It's not the
species.
standard science method, but
How we
like the
view it.
general way we live at the moment,
Okay.
given our thoughts on sexuality.
Well,
Right?
yeah,
Like
it was trying to challenge.
Jesus used to have massive orgies and that sort of
No,
stuff.
completely outside of religion. Completely outside of
Completely
religion.
outside of religion, Sean.
Okay, sorry,
That's
I'm not
religion,
getting on.
okay?
That's enough.
It was.
I want to believe. No.
I love the way Jesus had orgies.
He did, apparently.
Yeah, much
Just
more.
massive drug-induced orgies. I don't know, that's what I heard from Joe Rogan.
Apparently.
I'd like to
Because
believe that.
all
I'd worship
of the
that guy.
sources they have on Jesus is lying.
Yeah, oh no, it's very well documented, all of it, isn't it? You know? 200 years later they write the Bible.
Yeah.
Fuck,
I
if anyone
think that
remembers
the
me.
Bible might be subjective.
Well,
But
the
it's
Bible's
in text.
simulation.
It's in text though. It's written down in a book, Sean. Remember, it must be true. It's been published.
Yeah.
They wouldn't publish it if it wasn't true.
It's got a pretty shitty cover to it. That's why I don't believe in it.
No, I do. I love that old Russian book. Makes me think it's got real wisdom to it. You know?
I'll judge you fucking. Alright, yeah. Anyway, you were saying.
Sex at dawn.
Sex at
We're talking
dawn.
about
So it's
orgies.
just about the human Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens.
Sapien.
The sexuals.
Homo sapiens.
No.
What is their sexual nature? That's basically the objective
Sure.
of the book, and it attempts to argue that we are a multi-male, multi-female, promiscuous species,
Sure.
and it's really very compelling as a book when you read the arguments.
But if I'm sitting here thinking about the limited knowledge I know of Homo sapiens, then sure that'd go and fuck around. Wouldn't
They do,
Yeah, of
but
course
that doesn't
they would.
necessarily
They would
mean
be
the
running
arguments are
around
true.
fucking-
So
yeah.
there's another book called Sex at Dusk, which
Yeah.
goes through
Is
the
it called
science,
Sex at Dusk?
yeah, and rebuts Sex at Dawn, and I
Did you
found
find
that.
it on rebuttal?
No, but it is on Rebuttal. It is.
It
If
is
you
on
go-
Rebuttal.
If you go to the
Yeah.
Amazon entry for Sex at Dawn or the Sex at Dawn website,
Yeah.
it has been linked to Sex at Dusk
Cool.
because it's important.
So Sex
Yeah.
and Dusk is a book.
It's a book. They're both books.
And they both contradict each other.
One rebuts the other.
Okay, alright. And they were written by the same
Sex
person?
at Dawn was written
No.
first.
Okay, alright.
And then
Sex
Sex
at
at Dusk was so horrified by the ideas that they wrote.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
tell
they
us.
said
Shit, that's good.
they argued that they misrepresented the data, took things out of context, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I do tend to take things at face value when I'm reading them. I assume that people talking to me are being
Sure,
honest and
sure,
true.
yeah,
because-
Oh yeah, that's the only way to go though.
And
It's the
so,
only
Sex
way to
at
be.
Dusk, assuming that the author's sincere and honest and referencing things accurately and so forth, completely demolishes Sex at Dawn in my
Does
opinion.
it?
Yeah.
Really? So let's
It's a bit sad.
give us
So-
a brief outline again of Sex at Dawn.
Look,
So
if
that
we're
you
breaking
understand.
down on this whole rebuttal thing, is it, the general concept, do you think it's easier? Well, no, it is. It's easier for people to talk down something with existing knowledge than people to try and be
Prove it.
revolutionaries and fucking,
I think-
break through all the fucking
critiquing is
crap.
easier than
Critiquing
creation.
is very easy,
Yeah,
and you look like a renegade in society if you're trying to fucking think outside the box most of the time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I fully support the author of Sex at Dawn still, because
Yeah.
he was trying something new.
definitely
He was
yeah.
arguing from a perspective, and I'd be willing to even say it's a biased perspective. He's come from a viewpoint. But the interesting thing about that is a bit of scientific history. Copernicus. I studied him a bit at university, and one of the cases for Copernicus's revolution, Galileo. Everyone knows
Yeah.
Galileo, right? The Earth goes around the sun.
Yeah.
It wasn't his idea. Copernicus put it first.
Yeah, right.
And Copernicus argued that the sun was in the middle and that all the planets go around it in perfect circles. And the reason he posited that wasn't because we didn't have a telescope. He didn't really know anything. He didn't have any special access. It was just that he was a biased philosopher who had a Platonic worldview instead of an Aristotelian. So
Right.
everyone else at that point in time was Aristotelian. They believed that you had Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, the three Greek philosophers. Everyone sort of followed the Aristotelian worldview, and they followed an old an astronomer Ptolemy's theory of epicycles. On it, the Earth's in the center, and things go around the Earth, and they circle on their orbit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay? It had an explanation, and it fit. It predicted every eclipse. It predicted everything accurate enough for the time. But Copernicus wasn't happy with it because it wasn't elegant enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Simple.
Plato believed that the universe is a mathematically beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Because Plato believed that God created everything perfect,
Yeah.
but the material he had to work with was imperfect.
All right.
So it comes out imperfectly, but the basis behind it should be perfect. And so Copernicus said, you know what, all these epicircles on epicircles and cycles, it's too complex. You know what, if we put the sun in the middle and things go around the sun in perfect circles, that's much more elegant and beautiful. So his rationale for it was completely wrong.
Yeah.
But it worked. And it spawned Galileo, which then became, you know, not quite circular, and things changed slightly, but anyway, so the point is
how a human mind who thinks about beauty, elegance, and very human things can, you know, use that to find what you would say is the truth.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's like magic stuff. Like, that's only the human can think in that way.
Sort of.
Go on with that.
I don't know.
Okay, continue.
So yeah, anyway, yeah. So creating things, sometimes even if they're in, it's not as, it's just important that we keep putting ideas out there and challenging things, even if we're wrong. You know, obviously you don't do it if you know that you're wrong.
Yeah, well, that's fucked. Yeah.
But it comes from a genuine place.
It's negativity. I don't. No negativity. You know what I mean? You're doing things in a positive manner with a bit of fact behind you. Then you know. Sure. See
what happens. Throw ideas out there, and then encourage. This is the thing. You've got to encourage the rebuttal.
Yeah, you got to be happy with getting.
I want people to prove me wrong. Like, especially
that's
with
what I'm here
for. Hey, I'm still going to fight to the death.
You run out of lives.
That's good.
I've got 9. That's all right.
Yeah.
Explain Sex at Dawn. I was actually trying to get to the book I read in between, which is Guns, Germs and Steel.
Oh yeah, I read part of that. I never read nothing.
I love that. I think it's a great book.
I started too young.
Okay, so Sex at Dawn. It basically was just trying to argue that the evidence that he was portraying was that our belief that we are a monogamous species at all is completely flawed, and it's put on us by society and by agriculture trying to take ownership of each other and controlling reproductive rights of each other, particularly men controlling women, was the basic claim. But in reality, in our natural world, we lived in tribes and we all had sex with each other quite freely, and everyone was happy and everything was shared. And the basic claim was
socialism.
Kids were shared.
It was egalitarian. Fierce egalitarianism was what he argued. Yeah, was that in that environment there was plenty of food to go around and everyone shared everything and took care of each other.
Took care of each other's kids. Took care of the kids.
Yeah, it was sort of like a tribal.
Like a kid of the community, not a kid.
Yeah,
like.
But it does sound.
Makes
pretty
a lot
utopian.
of sense, though.
It does. Oh, when you read it,
especially when you think about kids being brought up in the right environment, the more people they've got to look up to. Like if you get taken care of as a kid by a community, it's much better.
Isn't it in India that the Indian culture is the first brother of the father looks after the child?
I'm not sure.
I think that's it. Like the father
has the
gets pregnant, and then
the
main
father probably doesn't get pregnant.
No. I don't know what goes on over there. It's another world. But and then the uncle is the one that looks. So if the parents break up, I don't know if this is a fucking reason, but if the parents break up, then the uncle's still around. I don't know.
Well, it's just
it's quite challenging because that notion puts the responsibility on someone who has nothing to do with it, and so.
But that's
if I was someone's brother who had 11 kids, I'd be like, "Fuck off!
Yeah,
I've got a life to live." Where's the
cunt.
motivation for the uncle to give a shit?
Yeah, right? I mean, belief system.
That's the belief system you're talking about.
Whereas people, sometimes
if you were living in a community like what you were talking about, every person would care about each kid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So sometimes I think about like all those people out there believing back into religion. Believing in all that religion so fucking sternly, you know? What, you know? Why?
Yeah. Well, that makes them.
What motivation do they have? And it's only a belief system, you know? You're brought up, you're indoctrinated with it, you know?
And it makes them.
If you're brought up going, well, you're going to have to look after, you know, you might be in your brother's ear going, don't you fucking get her pregnant too many times because I don't want to have to fucking deal with that shit.
Their belief system's so strong that they won't have sex till they get married. I mean, that's a pretty massitive choice to make.
That's a lot. That's hard. I think that's
you know, why wouldn't you just bring up someone's kid? It's almost
that's a quarter of the world, isn't it? That's like a quarter of that. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
that's
so what's Sex at Dusk and how does that rebut it?
Sex at Dusk works through Sex at Dawn chapter by chapter, and more than anything, it just says puts things back into the correct context and says so they're taking them out of context, they're misquoting them, they're cherry picking the data, actually, when we look at this society, which they say lives this promiscuous lifestyle, it doesn't. It's actually full of strife, and so it's just a lot of correcting of claims.
All right,
which is a
fair
bit
enough.
sad.
But how are they addressing